The 100, Season 4, Episode 7, Gimme Shelter. I actually enjoyed this episode. I think it was certainly a kind of a stalemate as far as good things and bad things. This one wasn't as crazy as the past couple episodes have been, where it's like, here's one really great thing and here's one really horrible thing. This one was pretty across the board, kind of bad for them. It was neutral in that standpoint, and they did some pretty good stuff with that, with the characters being separated. They did some really great stuff with our sibling duo between Bellamy and Octavia, with the two of them going through a lot of newer emotions. Bellamy trying to figure out, what he's been doing wrong lately, and some, living off of some of the stuff that he's done in the previous season, and just going through his emotions and how some of his decisions last time led to certain very serious elements that affected his sister, and how they're no longer the couple that they used to be, how they were so close because of course they're brother and sister, and how he was always there to protect his younger sister, whether they're up in space or on the ground, and he doesn't feel like he can do that anymore. And as Kane puts it, you can't really save someone who doesn't want to be saved. So he's going through the emotions of that while also going through trying to help someone else, a man and his son, while they're outside. All I can remember, I don't know why, but I remember the son's name was Peter, at least I believe it was, and maybe the father's name was Mark, but he couldn't get to them, and he was doing everything that he could to save them, and the son Peter was one of the 100, and so he had this real drive through the whole episode to reach them, but there was nothing he could do in the end because he had a failed suit when he went out, but he still decided to take the rover, and then it got stuck in the mud, and then there was nothing he could do whatsoever, and he knew that by the time the storm passed over that they were gone, because of course he tried to contact them and nothing happened. So he went through a lot in this episode. There was a lot actually with all of Arkadia, because Kane had to be there to try to help two people, because it was Bellamy, and I wish I could remember the other woman's name, but she dealt with a lot in this episode as well, and I feel she was really putting a lot of blame on herself when she shouldn't have, because it was a panic situation. But I guess considering her position as kind of like one of the guards who is meant to help just I guess the normal people that are around, that's why she felt so bad. And even though it may be her position, it's still a crazy situation. And plus he freaked out and just he grabbed her shirt, he would have just dragged her down, and she kind of freaks out and pushes him back, and that's why he falls. And no one else helped him either, but she felt so responsible because she was the kind of the catalyst for him starting to trip when she pushes him off of her shoulder. And I felt she put so much blame on herself, and it really sucked to see that, where the whole episode this dude's just getting closer and closer to death, and she was blaming herself from the beginning of it, and she just slowly has to watch him die. And it's just like, man, that really sucks for her to have to go through that situation. But a lot of people get sick, a lot of people die as well, which they even show that in the promo for the next episode, them burning the bodies of all the people that actually died because of the black rain. So it was just very interesting, the emotional turmoil that was going on in this episode. I think they did a great job with that, expanding from Arkadia to Bellamy and over to his sister. And Octavia had some really dark stuff go on in this episode, where she didn't really know what she was going to do. And of course, Ilian is there, and they end up forming an interesting relationship. I was very surprised, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, honestly, I thought he was going to die 2 episodes ago, and not even just the last time. I thought he was going to die a couple of different times. So immediately I'm surprised he's even alive. I figured he would be, just because it's like, oh, they have a character who not only has a bunch of speaking lines, but he also, we know his name, he has some important elements to his character. So I figured, when he first showed up, I was like, I'm sure he'll be around for most of the season, if not just being a new character for the rest of the series, or at least a couple of seasons, because that's just the series, that's how it goes. But I was surprised that they ended up together. I personally wasn't expecting that. And granted, they just did it in this episode, which is totally how you end up pregnant. I don't know what magic super, condoms they were using from the future, but that's how you get pregnant, when you just do it with nothing. So I always think of that. Every time I watch TV, I'm like, they just did it out of nowhere. And it's like, everyone in television is just, impotent. It's like, no one can get pregnant. I just don't know. Everybody just does it and nobody ever gets pregnant. And it's just funny to me when I think about that. But Octavia was having some real dark thoughts in this episode, and she was kind of reliving what she did in the last episode, where she felt like she kind of took Pike's place almost, and she wanted to kill herself. She was just going to go out in the rain, and that's all she felt, was like she's not the person that she used to be, and she doesn't really like who she is right now. She did for a minute, and then when it got to that point where she was pushed so far that she almost became the person that she's hated the most, you know, and really the entire series. I don't think she's hated anyone as much as she hated Pike in this series. So, you know, pushing her to the point where she was almost like him, that really messed with her head, and I thought they did a good job with that. And we'll see where they go with these two characters, where they're both kind of, you know, just estranged from everyone. I mean, she was estranged from her people before, and she was, of course, with Indra, and she could still easily go back to Indra. It's just all the craziness that was happening recently. That's why they split up, and Indra's daughter coming in. So that's really the only reason that sort of thing happened. So she could technically go with her, and you know, they explore the stuff with her daughter. But for now, they're two people who are just, they kind of just have each other and that horse, and that's pretty much it. It's those three characters now. So I'm actually curious to see where they go with her character and how they change her, because she's gone through this big change where, you know, she was constantly going through the motions of becoming more and more of a warrior, and now she's gotten to the point where she doesn't want to be that warrior, and she doesn't want to be Skyripper, which really sucks because I love that name. I think, you know, One Hate I thought was interesting, but Skyripper just sounds amazing to me. So sadly, she's ditching that name, and she's just Octavia again. She gets rid of her weapons, and she's moving on to something else. So I am curious to see where they take these two characters. I don't know if they'll officially end up together, but it seems that way. And maybe she'll join him, and they'll at least attempt to start just a normal life and try to stay out of all the craziness that's going on right now. But really enjoy what they did with that story, like what Arkadia was giving us. And then we have the island, and that was pretty good too. And Amori was freaking out early on in the episode that she was going to be the one that they experimented on as far as the radiation poisoning and stuff like that. And we go through this whole episode where she's seemingly getting revenge on this guy that tortured her and her brother. And I'm like, man, this is, you know, they're going through, and it's like, this is how we find the person for them to choose. Because I was wondering that too in the last episode, because we don't see the person, we just see a random arm. So I was like, okay, how's this going to play out? And as soon as that guy came in there, I was like, all right, well, this is clearly the guy. He's just, you know, some random villain character. And then, you know, we have this lie where she says, I believe the guy's name was like Siblis was the name that she said. And so we're going through it. It's like, you know, she's getting revenge on this guy. And it's like, okay, well, what if he is the one that they experiment on? And so they do. And then we get to the end of the episode, and it's just like, you know, man, I hope he doesn't die. And, you know, Murphy doesn't know any of this either. He's just like, I hope he doesn't die. And she's like, yeah, I hope he doesn't die either. And then it comes to the truth about her having the opportunity to kill him if he does. And she's just like, why would I do that? And we find out that she just lied. And this is just some random scavenger dude who may not have been as guilty, but I mean, obviously the first thing he did when he went in there, he was trying to kill her. So it's not like, I think he's like a great person anyway. So I mean, the first thing he did, he broke into the house and then he was trying to stab her with a knife. So it's like, still a bad dude, just not on the personal level as, you know, it was for Amori, or the way she made it seem at least. So it was like, okay, well, that was a survivor move, and Murphy, being Murphy, was just like, cool. So we have this guy, and we'll see if he ends up surviving. But I'm looking forward to where we're going next. We actually see Rowan in this, which I thought was interesting. That they actually had him show up at the end of this episode. I was like, oh, that's surprising. Normally, when you don't see an actor in an episode, you just don't see them. Just like with Raven, they just said she was sick, so she's still recovering. She's just not there. And Rowan was. They mentioned he was, like, in the beginning of the episode, it was just, he's getting the gas out, but they were at the house for so long. It's like, yeah, we barely saw Abby. We didn't really see the other doctor. I don't think we saw him until the end of the episode either. So we saw like two of the actors just at the very end, and I was like, oh, you don't see that in a TV show. It's like, if they aren't there in like the first 20 minutes, they're not going to be in the episode, and they showed up in like the last scene. And I was just like, huh, you don't see that too often. So that's just a TV thing that caught my attention. But enjoyed this episode for sure. Very excited to see where they go with Octavia and Ilian and what they do with this new version of Octavia, where she decides to go. Everyone at Arkadia dealing with their first real encounter with acid rain, so that should be something for sure. And I feel like we haven't really gotten to the point of, like they've talked about it in the past couple episodes, but we've really been stuck in two locations when you think about it. It's been Arkadia and the island, and that's really it. Ever since the main characters left Polis, we haven't seen it, but all we've heard is that there's just chaos and the different clans are fighting each other, and Asgeda is, all the different people within Asgeda are taking off and destroying villages along the way. So there's still war going on out there, and it's just happening in all these episodes, and we aren't even a part of it, which is very interesting to see. Like, what the past couple seasons have been about them fighting against somebody, some grand war, and there's another war, but they aren't a part of it, but it's still happening. So I'm actually excited to see how that plays out once we get the cure or some alternate version of the cure that still manages to work, which is just a different cure. When I say it out loud, I realize how dumb that was. But once they get this cure, they're going to go back into kind of the rest of the world interacting with the other clans, and it's going to be straight up chaos. So I'm excited to see how that plays out and how certain parts of this war that is currently going on in the background, how some of those elements start to spill into the main story. So I'm looking forward to that because they've been really far away from the battle and from Polis and just all the chaos going on there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that start to expand into the main story. And maybe not too soon, but I just think with it being war, it's a really big deal. So it has to, at some point, reach the main characters. And I think, every episode that goes by where we don't have it, it's just another episode where we get closer to having it. So I am definitely looking forward to that. But I certainly want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, or least favorite parts. And there was a lot that happened in this episode. I mean, we're going into the cure. Hopefully that works. I feel like it won't because we're only like 7 episodes in. But maybe the war will come in as like a big part of the second half of the season. Who knows? But we're going into that. We already have Arkadia suffering, and we have Octavia and Ilian going off. So there are quite a few elements that are about to change, I feel. But I certainly want to know how you guys feel about Octavia's journey in this episode. I think Bellamy had a good journey. It's something that he's kind of gone through before, but this was a bit more specific because he focused so much more on his sister. But he's focused a lot, just recently in this season, about him helping people and him making things right for the things that he's done wrong. And now that he's had that interaction with Octavia where, she says, like, the only reason you're alive is because we're family, it's starting, he's realizing things are deeper than what they were before, and he felt bad on his own, and then I just made it worse. So I want to know how you guys feel about Octavia's change in this episode, and also where you guys think they might be taking it now that she's decided to give up kind of her warrior ways. Or has she given them up completely? Like, do you guys think that she'll kind of be pulled back into that? Or do you think this is a permanent change where maybe she'll defend herself, but she won't go out and look for danger anymore? Because that's been a big thing for her character. Really, like in the last 2 seasons, I'd say, it's been a pretty big deal. So I want to know what you guys think about that change and where it's headed. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.